Hey everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Steve Simmons, a strategic partnership expert who helps businesses build profitable sales and marketing organizations. With a strong entrepreneur mindset, Steve specializes in aligning business partnerships, driving high-impact initiatives, and creating motivated, results-driven teams. How are you doing today, Steve?
Hi, how's it going, man? Listen, I'm all for it.
It's going well. I was excited to have you on. You're doing some awesome things. There's people out there that for sure need to know you a little bit before we dig into all that. Starting off, where are you located at? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I live in Northern California, just outside of our state capital, Sacramento. And it's fantastic. El Dorado Hills is the base of the Sierra Mountains, and it's fun to be here.
Awesome. You've been there for a while, or are you newer to the area?
I spent in actually Silicon Valley about, 30 years. And my wife and I moved outside of the rat race into El Dorado Hills. So, yeah,
Okay.
about 7 years ago.
Okay. So you got your haunts. If you have friends coming into town that have never been there before, what are you doing for fun, and where are you going for dinner?
What did I do for fun? Okay. So I'm actually have a pretty athletic background. So I usually ride bikes. Love to cycle. Just hanging out. We do a lot of stuff around the house. What am I doing tonight? I don't know. Probably going to town and have some dinner or something. Something really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of dinner? Where do you typically like to take people? What kind of restaurants?
I'm into Mexican. We have a really good steakhouse here in El Dorado Hills. Yeah, those are pretty good. Mexican, little Chinese here and there. Yeah, like that.
You can't mess with that.
Meat
That
and
sounds
potatoes.
that sounds solid. So awesome. Well, what can you tell us about what you do?
Yeah, I've spent the last 25 years, 26 years managing strategic partnerships in the tech sector. So I work for two extremely large global system integrators. And my first job there I was coming in from a different career, kind of a shift in a major career, but I'd done partnerships before, and they hired me. I don't know why, but they did. And they asked me to build a partnership for this large system integrator, which they didn't have one. And that's what I did for about 9 years. Then we had the 2009 meltdown, and then picked up on another large global system integrator for about 15 years. So it's been really good. Now I have my own company and doing the same as an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. What made you decide that you wanted to, go into the entrepreneur field to do this yourself?
Yeah, it was okay. I've done this for 25 years. I've contributed a lot, pushed partnerships to a higher level in these big, large organizations. And now I want to do something by myself. And that's been something my desire for a long time. And I just landed on it and went forward.
That's awesome. So, what is it that you love most about what you're doing now?
Um, so the fact that I'm involved in the tech sector is thrilling. I kind of stumbled in on it, not really, but kind of. I had to where I lived, but it's just also partnerships. It's not like you're a rocket scientist, but you're doing something that has a perception for most people in one area, but the reality is something else, and you have to be the not so much the pioneer, but the trailblazer, so to speak, and helping people understand what the what partnerships are. They can read it in Webster's and understand the definition, but when you put it implement it into a real life organization, multiple organization, there's some dynamics that you have to manage.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can see that. Being pretty interesting. So, um, when you're looking at like your average client, what does that look like, or what are the pain points that somebody might be going through that if they're dealing with X, Y, or Z, you're the person they should be talking to?
Yeah, so there's multiple. So my first job, it was, I hope nobody falls out of their chair, but one of the company I went to work for, the leader, they're very, very large system integrator, and one of the large tech companies in Silicon Valley were, we call them drinking buddies, but I won't name their names. I won't point a finger at, but they were buddies. So this technology company said, "Hey, I need some help with partnerships. We're not getting anything." So they gave a lot of money to the system integrator to say, build out a partnership program. That was a lot of zeros, but a big number in the front. But anyway, so they built that, and so they didn't have a partnership program. So luckily, I had known somebody there, and they reached out to me and says, "Hey, you've done a lot of things that are very partner centric. How about coming here and let's interview and see if you can do this?" So it was building out a partnership program that I'd never really done officially before in order to start it, and we were very successful. And then I went on to another one of the global system integrators and did almost the exact thing. The guy who called me, the executive who called me, he was in the technology sector, and that was his key sales point. But he kept on going to clients, and he was trying to sell something to the clients. And one of his big clients says, "Hey, you come here all the time trying to sell me something. Let's put something together as partners and go out to the market. That'll be much more impactful than you selling to me and me selling to you." And that was their initial part of having a partnership.
Okay. So what do you look for specifically in partnerships when you're trying to find people or other industries to collaborate with?
Yeah, it's so the one thing is you have to have a mindset to be kind of open, have an open mind on it, because it is really um, it's not that you're speaking a different foreign language, but you have to look at it with a different perspective. So in the traditional company, you have, the main part of the organization, then you have the sales guys. And the sales guys are selling, selling, selling. Fine with that. That's great. But then the partner type model is blending so many parts of the organization with sales and almost acting as, I'm going to say, a parallel path, so that you're bringing in another partner's either technology or whatever features or solutions that they have, and you're putting it together, so you're making it 1 + 1 = 4 type of environment. So by strategically adding that other component at the right time, you can be bigger than you are or more appealing to an end user client.
Okay. So how can businesses build strategic partnerships to drive growth and revenue?
Um, so first of all, it takes a mindset, because most organizations, somebody will call up the sales leader and say, "Hey, we need to do more with this guy selling something else at this account, and we should be there. We should let them outbeat us and so outbeat us on that." And that's kind of the wrong thing, because when you partner, you want to be complementary and you want to um, develop a stronger image together. And so there's misconceptions on partnerships because they look at Webster's for partnerships and don't understand the real application for a partner model. It's not, I'll sell something to this client and then I'll call you when I need you. I understand how that works, but that isn't the right way to do it, because if you can come together at the right time early in the sales cycle, you'll be bigger than you are yourself.
How can entrepreneurs create high performing sales and marketing teams?
Um, I mean, the sales and marketing teams are, pretty much understood how they build them. So they'll use the sharp sales guys, the creative marketing guys, and they'll try and work, not try, they will, their goal is to work together to secure more clients, build a bigger brand, build a bigger image, obviously generate revenue. The key point is with partners, there's the third component to it. So it helps you develop like a pyramid or something like that. And so that you can really add another component, because what happens is you have your sales company, your marketing company, you partner effectively with another company that's complementary to you, but selling in a different cycle, put them together, and all of a sudden, and there's money involved in cost of doing it, that you become better than you were by yourself.
Yeah, no, that's multiplicative. I've said this a few times on here. Is if you're a 7 out of 10 and you partner with somebody else, that's a 7 out of 10. If they're good in areas you're not, you're 20 out of 20. Right.
Great analogy. I'm going to steal that, can I?
Go for it. I took it from somebody else, so it's only fair. So how can aligning business partnerships lead to long-term success?
How? So there's so there's so there's first of all, an end goal desire. You have to have a strategy. You have to have, it may not be achievable on your own, but together you are. So it can, and that can be something you develop along the way. So there's the desire, the commitment. That's a big thing. Okay. So again, a lot of companies, when we talk about building a partnership, that's, we'll call you when you need you, or the partner, you guys kind of trail and clean up the mess or whatever. They don't really do that, but those are the things. So you have to put it on the forefront. And the areas that really do that, what happens is they build extra revenue, 33 to 40%. Additional revenue is what the studies show. And those companies that put partners together and work together on maybe multiple partners together, it's like a 2.2 times win ratio. And that's achieved with partnerships.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah, it is.
What advice would you give to a new or aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, it's everything. I think everything else. First of all, you have to have a pretty solid, overall solid image. I mean, solid strategy to create an image. And then what you want to do, and I use this probably more often than I should, I call it the crawl, walk, run. And I say you can crawl for maybe 5 feet. But you start, you have all the components. You're going to make some mistakes, but you start and you have the baseline. Then you have the key components you think you need to move forward, and then you have getting to the top of the mountain. And the biggest thing to do is make sure you have a good solid foundation. You can do it without spending a lot of money. Just have well organized and move in the direction that you can achieve by building separate milestones along the way.
Yeah, people get into it and think that they have to start running immediately. Like they see everybody else doing it and they're like, oh, I got to get out there and start sprinting. You can't do that. You can't skip the steps. You're not going to go into the gym, throw 400 pounds on the bench press and not hurt yourself. Right?
Exactly.
You have to follow the process. You have to get started where you're at. So
yeah,
it's fantastic advice.
Yeah.
So no matter what it is somebody does, there's a million other people doing it. There's a menu of options. Based on you and everything that you're doing, what sets you apart from that? Why you?
Like I said, I'm very competitive. I used to be a pro athlete a long time ago, but the thing is set goals that are not a layup, but set goals that make you stretch, but they're achievable, and stay focused on those goals. Try and minimize the noise. That's hard to do. Minimize the noise, and then reward as you achieve milestones along the way. Okay. The biggest thing that I found is a lot of people think about the magic pill. I'm not big. I can understand the magic pill, but just okay, we're gonna do partnerships. Okay, now where's the success? It doesn't happen. You have to have a foundation. You have to treat it like its own organization. I'm not saying that they're special, but if they're treated like, okay, we'll call you when we need a type of attitude, you may not fail, but you're not going to be as successful as you could be.
Yeah. No shortcuts.
No.
So, okay, awesome. Is there anything that I missed or that I failed to ask that you wanted to add?
I think you've done pretty good. I think it was funny. I just had a prospect call me up, and he goes, I say, okay, I'm going to walk through my methodology and my program and stuff like that. And then his next thing he said, okay, when do I get clients? Okay, we got to stick to the program. I'll get you clients, but we got to get clients together, and we got to get through the process. So it's not like it's super religious that you can't make a misstep or anything like that, but you got to do a planned execution along the way. And it's not rocket science, like I said. Just be very thorough and predictable. And you're going to get surprised along the way when I say predictable. The competition and your partners aren't going to always be easy with you because you might have some battles to fight, but you'll fight.
Absolutely. For people that want to know more, that have some questions, where can they do that? How can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find my website, www.breakawayalliances, all one word.com. Or you can reach out to me by email, steve.simmons@Breakaway Alliances. I'm ready to answer.
Perfect. And I'll put all that in the show notes so we don't have to try and spell it, because I'm going to misspell alliances. I don't know what it is. It's the double L's, I think.
Thanks.
Is there double L's? I don't even know, right? But I'm going to copy and paste it into the show
There we
notes.
go. Well, it's funny how I got a breakaway. I used to be a pro skier, like I said, a long time ago. In my off season, I rode bikes, all over race bikes. And I said, what's a good name for it? Oh, yeah, breakaway. That's when you get ahead of the pack and nobody can catch you. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I like names like that. But yeah, I'm going to put it all in the show notes so it's super easy to find. If anybody would like to get a hold of Steve, do. Build that plan, find those steps that you can take and start taking them. You're going to walk away knowing more than you did going in. Absolutely have that conversation. If anybody would like to get a hold of me, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Steve. If you or somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Steve, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. You're doing some awesome things, and there's people out there that, they're really going to benefit from getting to know you. So I'm happy to be a part of that. So let's all go out. Let's have an awesome day and grow our circle. All right.
Love it. Thank you so much, Andy.
My pleasure.
Bye.